here. Basically, that when this switches, it turns on a micro switch. I think it was already on there. Yeah, it turns on a micro switch to give power to the MIDI player.
Oh, okay.
And now that the MIDI, that's this MIDI playing device, handheld device. MIDI files are on an SD memory card. And if somebody has to deal with that and has questions, you can surely call me. But it's just on your computer, you can add or subtract MIDI files.
Okay.
You know, just like you normally would. Now this SD card goes upside down, and it clips in there. When your fingernails are really short, it's not gonna work. But it helps it. It helps it be, if it's sticking out, it'll more likely be broken off if, you know,
okay.
something happens. So, works good. And this cable goes in, and it actually goes to the front, so it's kind of going to be permanent. If you're going to travel, you could always take the door off. Well, actually, if the whistle's on, it's not going to hurt a thing.
And
So just put it over there.
It's a lightweight cord.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not going to hurt anything. But the power for that comes through the cable, so you don't need batteries, which is handy. I mean, it's not. There's no battery.
Okay.
It has to go on the MIDI out, and then that's what'll power it up. Just think.
Okay.
I mean, you think this is the device. MIDI is going out to here. That's something to remember.
Okay.
Inside here, and this really could stay on all the time from anything, but this is the electronics package. You know, I use black pre-finished aluminum, so it's a little bit hidden. But I thought about shrouding the power supply, but
No,
you know,
we don't usually leave it all that part.
it's all full of holes for ventilation, so I didn't want to cover it up.
Sure.
And so there's a couple fuses here, and you know, I have some labels for that, and I did not put them on. But this is a fuse. There's a 6 amp fuse and a 2 amp fuse. Unlikely that's ever going to be broke. But for the off and on, that's on for the MIDI player. And again, it could stay on all the time, to where the point you don't have to deal with that. And to turn, you know, it's just the roll frame. You got the on switch, you've already had it, and flip it to automatic. Then automatic is necessary. It turns on the vacuum for the player system, but it also will power up that power supply, and this will be powered up and ready, or it'll be powered to it. Then there's an on. This is pretty simple. If there's MIDI files on the SD card, you really have to turn it on, hit play, it'll play through all the songs.
You can't select them then.
You can.
Okay.
Once it's going, you can hit stop, and you can go up or down.
Okay.
And look in the menu. You look at what song. There's a little, and we'll look at that in a little bit.
Okay.
You can see you'll see the names of songs, and then you could hit play on that song. Now, another thing you could do instead of that is on the SD memory card, or maybe on another one, you go on your computer and you can make folders and put folders on the SD card, and then you can put song lists on folders. So you can create song lists.
So if
like,
you want Christmas ones, or if you want
you can have
Riverboat or
yeah,
Circus.
You can have a folder for every song list you want. Now, when you have a folder and you turn this on, you can't just hit play. You have to enter one of the folders. You flip up and down, find the folder you want, and then enter it. I think it hit up and down. I can't remember, but instructions will show you that.
Okay.
But that's only if you have folders on there, or you can have an individual SD memory card for each playlist too. But that's a lot of cards to have to juggle with, and but if you don't have folders, that's the easiest thing to run. You hit play, you turn it on, you hit play, and you're good to go. So that anybody can kind of do that. But with folders, you have to enter the directory, or you have to like pick the folder, enter the folder, and then hit play, and that's good. So you got those two options. The memory card has to be 2 GB or less, because there's a different format. There's like, I don't know if you're like FAT32 format on the computer. So, and the larger folders, or the larger SD memory cards, has to format a different format that won't work. And they're out there. They're a little bit harder to find, but they're always going to be out there. And there's some memory cards that say they're 2 GB, but don't buy anything that's 2 gig ultra or plus power, because then they're actually 4 gigabyte cards,
Okay.
and they just say 2 on them, just because in case somebody wants a 2 gig they're trying to sell it, which is kind of silly. But and if you want extras, I can direct you to get some extra ones. They're just old. Somebody might have an old early phone that it got all these little, even 1 gigabyte, 312 megabyte. It doesn't, a 2 gigabyte memory card, you can put probably tens of thousands of songs on it.
Yeah.
The song MIDI file is a pretty small file size,
Okay.
so it doesn't need much.
Okay.
But anyways, so I've got the instructions for that. Your biggest issue is going to be like how you go from MIDI to roll frame. There's really one thing, because you can actually be running the roll frame, turn the MIDI player on, and play 2 songs simultaneously, all mixed together. You can do that.
Oh, okay.
Because there's really no way. The issue with this is there's no electricity. I had to come up with a way to shut this off for MIDI to play. And because as soon as you hit vacuum, the roll frame is going to run.
Right.
So what I've done, I had to shut a vacuum off to the roll frame only. So this has to come off. Here's your solenoid bank for the MIDI.
Right.
But nothing you'll ever need to do. This covers it up really nice. There's a valve. I had to put a valve in to turn off. You flip this valve up.
Okay, so that cuts off the
Up or down.
vacuum to the.
Yeah, that turns off the vacuum, so this won't run.
And you'd want that up if you've got the MIDI system. If you're going to use the MIDI system.
Yeah, flip it up and down. In the cold, it was a little bit hard to initially move it, but it's a regular quarter turn valve, but there was no room for a handle. It would been nice. It was up here. Can't get it in there.
Right.
So this is going to have to come off to do that. A little bit of a issue, but so we'll run it with that. You're already familiar with the roll frame. I'll run it. Get it set up here to run with the MIDI player. Give you a little rundown.
We need to go over the roll frames. It's been a while since I've run the roll frame, but
these screws should come off. They were already there. I left them, but I think somebody put them screws to hold this on permanently. But maybe just pull them screws out.
Okay.
Yeah, screwdriver, pull them out. The roll frame, there's really simple. It takes care of itself. If that lever's down, the roll frame goes. It automatically rewinds at the end of the roll, automatically stops rewinding and goes back into play at the beginning of the roll. There's these buttons, rewind, play, stop, that stops the rewind. So it really takes care of that. The only thing that you really need to know with it is if you need to speed up or slow down the song, the tempo.
Right.
And that's a personal preference thing. This thumb screw tightens or loosens. To tighten it, to slow it down. What that does, it just starts to shut off the vacuum, so it slows down the machine or the window. It's really kind of clever. This is actually, you can see this. It looks like a 5. It looks like little pistons of sorts, slider pistons. These are pneumatics, and it actually runs and cranks that crankshaft around. Yeah, it's a wind motor is what it's called. So, and it's actually vacuum suction on it causes it to run. Really kind of a interesting little thing. And then there's this pneumatic, pneumatic back there, and I've redone all the pneumatics and the valve blocks. This is a valve block.
Right.
All new leathers in them so that you got some reliability. And the pneumatics up front, all of them were rebuilt.
Right.
Both the pneumatic. There's rubber cloth on the pneumatic that was all replaced, and then the valve blocks, just like this one, they look like a zinc casting.
Mm-hmm.
They're all taken apart, cleaned them up, used bead blasted them, cleaned them up, and then there's new leather pouch, and leather valve in there, all brand new, and then some. So that's what was done with it. So that's all mechanically should be pretty reliable. This roll frame, I don't know if you remember, it's pretty mucky, greasy, dirty black. It cleaned up really good. It was really a really good. This little gear right here, this center gear was worn pretty bad. It's still working, but there is a stock gear that I bought, and I had to do a little modification on it, shorten it up. But I've replaced that. But this gear a lot of times gets torn out. It's just a kind of a casting and it's really complex, and if that's gone, then whew, you know.
Then you start
Last
over.
time it was about $500. Guy have a guy, local guy, actually make a
Make
new
one.
But I don't know what to do then. But that's been 15 years ago or something like that. So I was pleased to see that it was really clean it up, get it
Yeah.
going, and it worked pretty good. So when you play the MIDI player, another thing you'll need, and it's like, this is special instructions. If you want me to write something out so you can print it on a card, I can do that. All these holes on tracker bar have to be shot, because if you open any up, they'll sound permanent. The whistle will just go. So you can use the roll frame, make sure it's snug on there, and a blank spot on the roll frame. It'll close them up. But if like you were out somewhere, this has got these little holders that kind of help. Out somewhere and the roll gets loose and it pulls away, it just hangs loose, then it'll all sound. Sometimes I'll tell people to take the roll off and just put some removable masking tape on it, like some blue or green tape.
I think we originally had a piece of thin cardstock or cardboard type stuff that actually just slid right down behind there, that held it back in against the, for traveling purposes, and so dust and stuff didn't get down into the
to keep
holes.
dust from migrating. Yeah, that'd be helpful. So anyway, at this point, a blank spot, you know, like if you were traveling with it, this paper might work itself loose and have a problem. But sitting still before you go, make sure it's snugged up, and you're ready to play the
When we traveled with it before, we took the rolls out. Is that not an option anymore?
Well, you ought to take the rolls out, I guess. You might notice I traveled with the roll on,